Hey everybody, welcome back to The Pressing Matters. I'm Scott. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for your support. Today I'm going to be talking about EMI Classical and some of the companies that have attempted to do audiophile reissues of the EMI catalog over the years. It's been a long time since EMI themselves have done an in-house reissue series on vinyl. I think the last time was with the green sleeve reissues, which were in the 70s. This is an example of one of those, and that's Sullivan, The Tempest, and The Merchant of Venice Suite. A really good record. This was reissued also by Clavier, and I have all three pressings of it. And I can tell you that my experience with the green sleeve reissues is they always hold up to the original pressings. They were done very well, and that may be a clue to why EMI hasn't touched the catalog again as far as vinyl reissues. But with the recent attention on Deutsche Grammophone's original source series and the RCA Living Stereo reissues coming out of Analogue Productions, not to mention the Decca reissues that were done by Speaker's Corner in recent years, as well as ORG, it seems a little odd that they haven't attempted to do their own current hi-fi audiophile reissue series of their vast musical legacy. And I think it's an area that's really missing from the current reissue scene. And I hope that with the attention on the Deutsche Grammophon reissues, that they will consider possibly doing a series of reissues of the classical catalog. Several other companies have done EMI reissues on a limited basis and with varying degrees of success. So one of the first to try it was Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab in their original incarnation, the JVC Super Vinyl era. And one of their top titles is this one. This is called Pictures at an Exhibition and the Firebird Suite by Riccardo Muti and the Philadelphia Orchestra. This is one of the top sounding records of all time. It actually made the Divinity list in Arthur Salvatore's very interesting Supreme Recordings list. If you don't know who he is, he has a website called High End Audio, and he's done a marvelous job collecting all of the best sounding recordings ever done for various labels. And it's a great read. The whole site is wonderful. But this is a great sounding record. If you are interested in these pieces, this is one you must have in your collection. Another one that MoFi did was this one. This was on the TAS Super Disc list. It's Elgar Falstaff. But the piece that was on the TAS list was Fantasia and Fugue in C minor. The original pressing is on one disc. It's quite compressed because it has like 30 minutes of music on each side, something like that. It's crazy. MoFi decided to put it on two discs at 33, so it spreads it out much more, and this particular piece gets a lot of space and sounds great. This is one of the cheapest MoFis actually from that era. It was in the cutout bins for a long time. It just was not a very popular title. Another company that tried to do some EMI reissues was Alto Analogue. And this one was a nice choice. This is from the ASD series. And this is done with an original label. Beautiful recording of the Three-Cornered Hat. Vintage recording by De Burgos. And it's a great reissue. Very hard to find now and expensive. This would be a prime title for reissue in a new series. There's a company called Testament that is a third-party company that reissued some of the early violin recordings on EMI Columbia. So I have several of these, and this is just one of them. This is Beethoven's Violin Concerto by Kogan and the Paris Conservatoire Orchestra with Silvestri conducting. This record and many of the records that Testament reissues are very, very expensive. So almost the top of the line when it comes to expensive original pressings of classical records. That one's probably $1,000 record right there. I have several others. I'm not going to show them all, but Testament did a nice job, but focused mainly on those early violin recordings and some opera recitals. So not, they really weren't touching the big orchestral records that EMI has in their catalog. A company came along in 2011 called Hi-Q Records, and they put out a line of EMI reissues, and this had the promise to be what we were waiting for. They're called Supercuts, so they look like this with a banner across the top. The original artwork, all analog apparently. I'm going to read you the blurb from I found online. The title's cut at Abbey Road Studios from the original stereo analog master tapes with a Neumann VMS82 lathe fed with an analog pre-cut signal from a specially adapted Studer A80 tape deck with additional playback head, pressed on 180-gram vinyl on original EMI presses at the Vinyl Factory in Hayes, England. Sounds good to me. There were questions whether they were truly all analog, being cut at Abbey Road, but they are not half-speed mastered. There's no mention of that. And from the description, it sounds that they are all analog. I don't think they would attempt to do this if they couldn't do it all analog, honestly. The wording in this description there's one word that I don't really understand. It says fed an analog pre-cut signal. I don't know why they would say pre-cut, but at any rate, I have several of these, and I want to talk about Hi-Q records in particular. They got kind of a bad rap. There's not a lot of press out there on them, so you don't really have much to read up on as far as reviews. The big reviewers didn't really review these at all, and I don't see any YouTubers reviewing any of them either. I'm going to talk about a couple, but my overall impression of these is this. They're taken from recordings from the late 50s, like 58, 59. There's one here that's from 63. And I have one from the 70s. So it kind of goes the whole range of that period in EMI's recording history. And some of these early ones are not the sonic spectaculars that you would get in the 70s from the Bishop and Parker team. But they are good early stereo recordings that deserve to be reissued. And I have several of those here. I bought 5 of these records. The spines look like this. They seem to be pressed well. When you pull them out of the sleeve, they are glossy and beautiful and just look wonderful. They need to be cleaned though. They need to be cleaned deeply. My first time getting these, I paid full price for a couple of them. They were $35 at the time, which was a lot in 2011. Now it doesn't seem like so much, but even now it's, for a classical reissue, it seems like a lot to me. They were subsequently discounted towards the end of their life, down to $10, and I picked up several more at that time. But I have Music of Spain. So I really like this one, actually. This one is very quiet. I cleaned it enzymatically twice to get it super clean and quiet. And I think that's the secret to getting these to play well, is a deep, deep cleaning. This one is a great program of Spanish music. I love it. It was recorded in 1963, and just a great sampler of Spanish music. This one is called Nights in Vienna. And the reason I picked this one up was I was looking in one of my records and review books. You know, I've talked about these before. And they had good things to say about the program of this record. So I did pick it up. It is a nice program, but the sound is a little bit lacking, I thought. 1959, this was recorded. Rudolf Kemp and the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra recorded in Vienna. Not bad though, not a bad record at all, and my pressing was fairly quiet. This one was one of the first ones. I paid full price for this, and I didn't really care for this at all, for the sound or the performance. Sibelius Symphony No. 5. I don't know how rare the originals are of this, but if you could get an original pressing, I think it would probably be superior to that. I don't know why that turned out that way, but another one or two that I got, Ephraim Kurtz and the Philharmonia Orchestra did these ballet suite records. One is The Nutcracker, another is Swan Lake, and both of those are really good. I like these a lot. They do have early stereo sound. They're not sonic spectaculars by any means, but these were very quietly pressed and sound very good. I only had a Capital to compare it to for this one, but my impression was very good of this. I'm going to keep these in my permanent collection, actually. This one was highly recommended. It's a very in-demand title in its original pressing. It's called English String Music, and personally this music is not to my taste in general. I think the recorded sound has something to do with that. The performance is highly regarded, but I don't think this pressing really does it justice. The string sound is not that great, and you know, music for strings, it should be great. So I really can't recommend this particular Hi-Q record. The last one is the only one of the series that I'm aware of that made it to the Absolute Sound Super Disc list. This is Andre Previn's Holst the Planets. And this one, I believe the original pressing was on the Super Disc list way back, and they finally replaced it with this. So this is the only Hi-Q record that I've ever seen on a recommended list. And it does sound very good, and the pressing is wonderful. I am perfectly happy with this particular one. I got it for a great price too, so that didn't hurt. But to pay $35 for some of these doesn't seem like a good deal. And the reason is because, you know, the green sleeves are available for many of these. This is, you know, like I said, EMI's own reissue series that was done in the 70s, and these are very, very good. And that may be a clue to why there aren't, or there isn't, an EMI reissue campaign going on right now. I do hope that changes. Oh, I wanted to mention one other label. Wilson Audiophile did, the speaker manufacturer, did a couple of EMI titles as well. I think one of them was Walton, Belshazzar's Feast. And that one is really, really good. They spread it out on 2 discs, I believe, too. So there's a lot of potential in the EMI catalog, especially the Bishop and Parker recordings. That team, Christopher Bishop and Christopher Parker, were famous for some of the best sounding recordings, and they were recording Previn quite a bit. And Previn's interpretations are really highly regarded. So it would be great if EMI took cues from what Deutsche Grammophon is doing and do their own high-quality audiophile reissue series. I'd love to see it. I don't know what you think, but let me know what you think in the comments. Until next time, I'm Scott for the Pressing Matters. I hope this helped, and have a great day.